Hello, 105ers. This is going to be a 20-minute or so video to help review for WPR2. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through the problem set. I just got done grading and a lot of common problems. I think everyone did fairly well, but I can see there's some concepts that perhaps I didn't cover very well or we just need to review on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I approach a problem, and I'm also just going to code these up really quick, and so you'll have the solutions. In fact, I'll post this. We're going to post a solutions document as well. Let me tell you one of the tricks of these questions. If there is a sample output, this sample output is as close of an answer key as you can get. Okay, you're going to want to follow the sample output exactly. So if the sample output has a prompt, just follow the prompt. If the sample output looks a certain way, your job is to make your program look like the sample output. Okay? Doing that, you'll be a lot better off. I see a lot of people, they come up with their own prompts. The sample output will have yes and no in lowercase letters. They'll put theirs in uppercase letters. Well, all these things, it may not seem like a lot, but in programming, attention to detail is everything. It's everything, and the better you can get at attention to detail, the better you're going to get on your problem sets. So everyone's familiar with this, so I'm not going to go through the instructions step by step. In fact, on this particular problem, everyone did very well. So we know we're going to use a range function here. We're going to use a for loop. We're going to prompt the user to input an integer n. So let's start with that. N equals int float input enter an integer. Okay, that's going to get stored as n, so we've got that. Create a for loop using the range function with the loop variable being I from 0 to n. Another thing, notice sometimes we tell you what to name the variables, sometimes we don't. Here in this problem, we've given you names for the variables. So it's important that you follow that. So the loop variable is going to be I in range from 0 to n. Now remember, I can type 0 to n like that. Remember what these values represent. The 0 is the start, the n is the stop, and there is no step, which means the default step is a 1. Now 0 to n, remember this is the same thing as this. When we omit the start, the default value for start is a 0. So we can specify 0 or we can just omit it. It's the same thing. And then what do we want to do in our for loop? Let's see what this says. Print to the screen. So I'm going to print n minus 1. And the way I do these things is I'm a concatenation type person. This is how I learned to program. So I don't use the commas. You can use the commas though, but I'm going to use this though. N minus 1. Notice I put the space in there. Beer on the wall, comma, space, string of n minus, oh, it's not n minus 1. It's n minus I. Sorry about that, folks. We would have found that in our testing. Plus, or concatenate, space, bottles of beer. Okay, something like that. I think that's correct. Oh, take one down, pass it around. We need some more stuff there. Bottle of beer, take one down, pass it around. Comma. Okay, I think that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and run this now. I'm just going to run it with this. Oh, bad syntax. What do I got? Do I have my... You guys can watch me debug here. Oh, missing the concatenation sign there. Now let's try it. Enter an integer. I'm going to enter 5. And what I expect to see is 5, 4, 3, 2, down to 1. I look at the sample output. Notice on there they had an extra space. Probably not critical for the question. In fact, I didn't take off any points, there wasn't a space there. But again, my mission, if I have time, I'm going to want to match this completely. How do I get an extra space? Just do a print. Okay, and print nothing. Watch what this does now. Let's just do 4. There we go. We have nice spaces, nice and clean. 4 lines of code. So that's question number 1. Question number 2, a lot of folks did pretty well. There's a couple of things confusion. Here we just want to keep drawing random circles centered at 0, 0 until we draw a random color of white. So we know we want to use the turtle module. I'm going to go ahead and do my 3 lines of code right up front. We're going to use turtle, so I'm going to create the turtle. I'm going to create the screen. I'm going to set the screen BG color to white. I think that was specified here. Circles must be centered at 0, 0. We've got that. Each circle must be a random size. So I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to make some spaces here. So I want to draw circles over and over again. Let's just go ahead and draw one random circle with one random color. So if I get a color C equals random, you know what? I got to get my random. Here's a pro tip here. All your import statements, put these things at the top. It's just a better coding style to do. So I'm going to generate this random color. Random.choice, and I'm going to put the name of the list in here. And C is going to be a random color now. I need a radius between 10 and 100. We use the randint function. I think most everybody got these two things. We want to draw a circle centered at 0. Remember, the turtle starts at 0, so what we have to do is we have to, I'm going to pick the pen up. I'm going to go to 0, comma, negative r, t dot pen down. I'm going to draw a circle. Somewhere in here I need to set my color. So I'm going to do it right after my color. And that's going to be t dot color is C. And then before I draw my circle, our circle size is going to be R. That's our random variable. So this should draw a random circle, random size, random color circle. And it does. I'm going to do this a couple times just to prove to myself that in fact it works. There's a bigger blue. So here's a secret with the while loops. We just want to run this over and over again. So you see what I've done? I've written the code one time. This works for one time. Now I just want it to repeat. Okay, so check this out. Now I'm just going to add the while loop. While what? Well, I want it while my random color does not equal white. What's my color variable I'm using? It's C. So this becomes while C does not equal white. And now I'm going to indent all these things. Okay. And if I was to run this right now, the only problem I'm going to have is C is not defined when it hits this while loop. In fact, I'll run it and show you. See, this C is not defined. So I can just define it up here. Now I could assign a color to it. I can also just use the keyword none. We haven't done that in class, but it defines C, but C equals none. Well, none is not equal to white, so it's going to run this. It's going to run this run that loop there. It's going to enter the loop. It's going to keep going until we pick the random color white. So let's just give this a go. And sure enough, random size, random colors. Watch till we get a white, blue, yellow, red. We just might go for a long time. There's a white. Okay, and it stops. And that's it. Some of you tried to, I saw a lot of for loops here. Remember, a for loop is a definite loop. A while loop is indefinite. If you can't answer this question up front, how many times do I want it to loop, then it's a while loop. And we don't know. I can't answer how many times this is going to loop because we're going to keep looping until we generate this random color white. Okay? A for loop, we know going into it, it's going to execute only so many times. And that's just not what we're getting after here, okay? So there's problem 2. Let's go to problem 3. Lost my mouse. Help with grading. Okay, the biggest problem I saw in this were the inputs. Okay, think about this. We want look at the specifications here. Prompt the user to enter in the points possible for an assignment, and then and the raw points scored. Calculate and print the percentage and the appropriate letter grade based on the breakdown below. If the student scored over 100%, we're going to print the number of extra raw points that they scored. All percentages will be rounded up to the nearest integer. And if we have a 96.2, then it should be a 97. And here's the cutoffs, okay? I probably won't do this whole problem. But again, what's the most important part of this problem? Right here, this sample output. I want my program to look just like this. So what's my input function going to be? It's going to look exactly the same. I'm not going to make anything up. I just copy what's already there. Okay? That's what that looks like. Now here's the key that got most of the people. Most people stored these as integers. What's the problem with that? This is going to be possible. And I'm going to have this same line. Again, on a time test, use your cut and copy and paste. So I'm going to do a Control-C for copy. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to have this be my raw score. Okay. Most people casted these or converted them to integers. What's problematic about that? Who said the score had to be an integer? Maybe I have like our quizzes. We have 15 points possible. Maybe I scored a 10.5. What happens when you cast it as an integer? That 10.5 becomes 10. You're chopping things off. You're chopping the decimal places off. And then what do we want to do? We want to do a percentage. So something like this equals what? Raw divided by possible times 100. Okay, then we want to round it up. Well, if you looked in the math module, I'm going to import math up here. The math module, there's a function called ceil. It looks like this. And if you pass it a number with a decimal place, it'll round up. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to overwrite percentage. And the rest from here really is trivial. In fact, I don't even think I'll go through the rest of it. This was it. Once you have this percentage, then it's a simple if statement, right? If percentage is greater than 100, we're going to do something. And then what? Well, what are we going to do? We're going to print, and we're going to print the extra. We're going to print this. Notice right here. What do we want to print? In fact, I could even show you. I'm going to even show you an easier way to do this. Let me show you. Actually, let's go through this problem. You guys skip forward if you don't want to watch this. I'm going to show you a little trick here that will save you a lot of grief. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable here called grade. And I'm going to set it equal to none again, just because I want it defined. And now what's my grade here? This is going to equal an A+. Okay. Let's leave it at that. elif, and now I'm going to come in here. Look, and here's a, well, we'll just do this. Greater than equal 97. This is going to be a grade equals a plus. I should be able to crank through this pretty quick. elif. $93. Notice I'm not putting any print statements in here. You notice that? I want to have one print statement. Grade equals B plus. Equal, what does it go? E3, I believe. It's going to be. Now, if I want to speed things up, there's a little bit of danger in this. You just got to make sure you get your stuff right, okay? You just got to be very careful when you play the cut and paste game. You don't miss something. I'm confident that I can figure this stuff out. That's going to be an 80, B minus. That's a little bit quicker. That's going to be a 77, and that's a C minus, or no, C plus. 70. Oops. 73. C 70 C minus. We're almost there, and you'll see why I'm doing this here in a second. C minus, I think 65 if I remember right. That should be a D. Now lastly, again, we've checked everything, but the only thing it could possibly be is less than 65 at this point. I'm just going to use an else. In other words, I'm going to say everything else, your grade is an F. Okay, now here's why I don't use the print statement. Because now down here, what do I want to print out? Let's look at this sample output right here. I want to print out 62% F. So I want to print the percentage and the grade. So now look what I can do. Print string percentage percent sign space grade. Notice grade is a string. So let's test that out. That should work for most cases. We still got to come do some extra credit stuff up here when they scored above that. Let's give this a test and see how we're doing. Points possible. Let's do something easy. 100, and let's try a 78, and that should be a what? B plus or a C plus. Okay, so I come back to my sample output, and notice these are integers here. Notice they're integers, and there's no 0.0 on them. I have a 0.0 here. This is getting into some nitpicky details, but I like the details. So what I'm going to do is I want to get rid of that 0.0. How do I do that? I just convert it to an integer. It's pretty simple. So percentage, before I convert it to a string, let's convert it to an integer. It'll drop that. And let's test this. We type a line of code. 100, 78. Okay, that looks great. Now, let's test our roundup function. This is one of the things that I think a lot of people didn't test. If we have a 64.1 we were told to round up, we know because this is out of 100, it's going to be 64.1%. But we had that ceiling function there. It rounded us up 65% to a D. Now the only thing we got to cover is this sample output. So look at this. This is going to be exactly the same, but here we need this extra string. You received so many points extra credit. So now, while leaving this here, this is where my greater than 100% here, we have our grade, and then we have our, I'm going to do an EC for extra credit equals, it's going to be a string, you received how many points extra credit are they going to receive? Well, they've got, that would be what? Raw minus possible? Is that right? That would be a string, raw minus possible. Okay. Points extra credit. I think something like that is that string. Now check this out. This none stuff, you don't have to do this, but EC is none. The only time EC gets defined as anything is here. So notice, oh, there is a comma there too. See that comma? I'm gonna put that comma right here. Okay, now grade. Now I'm gonna say plus, okay, or concatenated with EC. EC is nothing unless it's over 100%. So let's just try this again on our, like, let's do our 74. Should be a C. Oh, didn't like it. Cannot concatenate string. Oh, okay. A none type. Well, it's a none type, so I wonder if I can convert this to a string. Let's try it. I don't know. Might work, might. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, it converts. Oh, none to a string. Okay. So what you can see here, my technique's not working so well, right? What else can I do to clean this up? I really don't want those print statements. How about we do this? Percentage greater than 100, so I can do this. I only want to print this separate thing if it's greater than 100. So let's do this. I'm going to take this EC out of here. That didn't really work so well. I want you guys, the reason I want to do this rather than just typing a solution, a predetermined solution, I want to talk through and let you see my thought process and stuff. I'm trying to solve this problem. So I want to include this string rather than printing all this stuff up in here and having a whole bunch of print statements. I guess we could just do this. There's some elegant ways to do this. If percentage is greater than 100, and then we want to do else. No, if it is greater than 100, I'll go to full screen for a second just so we can see this better. I know you guys probably have a hard time seeing that. Might be better. So let's do this. If percentage is greater than 100, we're going to print this. Otherwise, what do we want? Come on, move down here. Else, let's just print this portion. So string int percentage plus grade. Let's try that. So 100, let's go 85. Okay, that worked great. Let's do one of our round up again. We want to just make sure we're rounding up. So I do 64.1 because that's normally a failing grade, but it should round up to a D. That worked. Now let's try some over 100% stuff. 100, let's say we got 102. Okay, you received 2 points extra credit. I'm going to look at the instructions. The sample output, look what it has, 30 and 32. So again, I want to use the heck out of this sample output. I'm going to use this exact numbers and see if my solution comes up exactly the same. So I'm going to use 30 and 32. And let's take a look and see what that looks like. So 30, 32, 107%, A plus, you receive 2 points extra credit. Let's compare the results. And those results are exactly the same. Same with this, 60 and 37 and 62. Let's test this against the sample output. Let's use this stuff. 60, 37, 62% net. There we go. We've got the correct solution. What I wanted to show you, the reason I took the print statements out of here is because I just have one print statement. So if I wanted to change the format, for instance, I decided I wanted to change this to a $sign for some reason. Notice how many changes did I have to make? I just changed it one time. Okay? I just changed it one time. Oh, that was for the extra credit one. That's why I didn't change. But you get the point. See, if I would have done it the other way, and I wanted to change my formatting, I'd have to change like 10 different print statements. So this is a good way to do it. Use these variables. That's what these variables are here. Use the variables and come down and try to minimize the number of times you're writing the same line of code over and over again. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. This one, I really want to talk about these helper functions because I think most people, this was something else that most people struggled with. The other thing most people struggle with is their program did not work when the input was no. So we have this, let me make it a little bit bigger. I shrunk back down. Ask the user whether or not they want pizza and store the response as a string. The response should be either yes or no. Look at how that yes and no is written. It's not capital, it's lowercase letters. And then again, if I go to the sample down here, let's see what this says on the out in the. It's kind of small, you might not be able to see it. That's what I want my stuff to look like. So what do? I'm going to have this input here that looks just like this. Do you want pizza? And then there's yes or no. Question mark ends. I want to save this as a string, which is it's automatically going to save as a string. So this is a I'm going to call it a variable hungry. All right. And then I'm simply going to say what? If hungry equals what? It equals yes. We're going to do a bunch of stuff, okay? And if not, else, what does it say? Print maybe another time. Okay, so that part's done. Now, the thing to remember here, this is where a lot of people got tripped up. This is the framework of the question. Get my mouse here so you can see. This is the framework of the question. Everything else, there's two code blocks here. Either they want pizza or they don't. So if they want pizza, every other thing is going to go inside of this if statement. It's going to be indented. I hope that makes sense. But a lot of people have this if else, and then they wrote the rest of the problem down here. No, we don't want to do that. We want everything to be, if they want pizza, everything else is written right here. And I don't think I'm going to go through this whole thing. You did fairly well with the math. I might just talk about the helper function. But what's the next question? Using step one's inputs, if they want pizza, next ask them whether they want a 10, 12, or 14-inch pizza. So here we have, these are integers, 10, 12, and 14. Okay, I usually like to go single quotes. You can do double quotes though. Okay, we got to save it as a, so I'm going to say this is diameter. And then I'm going to get into this other if construct here. If diameter equals what? What do we got? 10. I'm going to do something. And I can go ahead and get the framework done. Diameter equals 12. No, I don't want quotes on that. 12 is an integer. And then what? Well, then everything else, it should only be 10, 12, or 14. Again, we're assuming the user is going to follow the directions here. And then what do we know as far as this is concerned? Well, we know slices. So here's our slices variable. A 10-inch has 6. This has 8. And a 14-inch. Okay, oh, sorry. It's 10 slices. Okay, so that's that. Now I can go ahead and do my math. And we need the import, we need the math module. So again, modules I'm always going to import up top. It's nice and clean that way. Do you see how I'm still inside this first if statement? If hungry equals yes. I'm still inside of this. It's called a nested if statement. And now I'm going to do my math. And I'm going to do angle. I was given this stuff. All I got to do is plug this in. This is fairly straightforward. Angle equals 2 times math.pi divided by number of slices. I call that variable slices. And then we've got, that's angle. Oh, we're going to convert it to, I'm going to call this angle D, is going to be math.degrees. And I'm going to pass in angle. And then what's my other? Compute the area. Now I'm going to go area equals math.pi times radius, which is the diameter divided by 2. Put that in parentheses. We're going to square that. Squared times slice angle, that's angle D, divided by 360. Put that in parentheses as well. Probably don't have to. Order of operations should take care of this because exponents occur before multiplication and division. So that should be good. Now, this is the part that got a lot of people. Use the provided helper function. Get price square inch to get the price per square inch. Get price square inch takes the slice area. This is the slice area. In fact, I'll even call it that. Okay? Slice area. Call it slice area. Takes the slice area as an argument. So I can come here and even look at this. This is a function over here, and we haven't covered functions in detail, but certainly we can call the function, and we're just going to pass it slice area. Well, if I want to use the helper function, that's a module. It's a custom module. I got to import the helper module like that. And then all I have to do is just module.function. Module name dot get price per square inch and pass it the slice area. And it's going to return the value I want. So this looks like this. Helper dot get price square inch. It's exactly the name that's shown right here. In fact, if I really wanted to be precise, I'd copy it. Make sure you don't cut it out of there. I'd copy it. And what am I going to pass it? Well, I'm going to pass it the slice area. And it's going to return, excuse me, it's going to return what? Returns mean that the price per some kind of price. So I'm just going to call this variable price. I got to catch the return value. There we go. And now I'm going to do this print statement and I'll be done. the size of a slice of pizza is something here, square inches, and again, I want to look at the sample output. Let's take a look. A slice of a 12, okay, it's the size of a, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at this sample output and just follow it exactly. Slice of string diameter it's inch. So inch pizza is go fix some of this stuff up. You know what? I may have errors in here, but the computer's not advocating errors, but it's going to catch some of these errors. Is, and then I want to print out this value here. That's going to be slice area. String slice area square inches, which is another value here. Gotta close the quote. I think I called this. Okay. I know this may be a little bit painful watching me code, but you guys can see how I'm talking myself through this. Okay. There's no magic bullet on this stuff. I got to work my way through it just like you do. String of price, dollars per square. I'm trying to do it somewhat fast. There's a period. Okay, and then I'm gonna test whatever sample output they gave me. So let's try this out. See how many errors we have. And I don't advocate you guys going, yeah, what do I need here? I'm trying to do an assignment operator. We don't want that, right? You guys know better than that. So let's do no first. Maybe another time. I think I was supposed to have a question mark there. And we can take out some of these spaces now. We don't need all these spaces. Okay, so let's try yes. You want 10, 12, or 14-inch pizza. And now that I'm testing this, I'm just looking at, I'd look at the sample output again, just to make this look a little better. Let me put a colon there. Let's do a 12. And a slice of 12-inch pizza is this many square inches. See, there's no space there. So now I can quickly come down. Where's the square inches? I just add a space there, which is $dollars per square inch. Okay. So now I can partly validate this program by looking at this. What is it? 14.137. Let's see what I got. I got 14.137, and then the dollars per square inch, 0.070. 0.0. Okay, so there we go. This is a nested if. The most trouble people had, again, the helper. This got a lot of people. The helper how to call this helper function. It's module.function. And you can come here and look at it. A lot of people cut and pasted it into their code. That's not the intent. We want you to use it as is. And the other thing that got people was this nested if Remember, if this is what they want to do, yes, then everything else, if they want pizza, is inside of this if statement. It's nested within that statement there. And then we have this, our no stuff down at the bottom, maybe another time. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video here. I'll do a separate one with a couple other review concepts, I think. If you have any questions on the problem set or you do not understand what I just went through, you need, I'm asking you, come see me and come talk to me. Let's clear the concepts up. They need to be clear for you to go into this WPR so you can hit the ground running and you don't get jammed up on a timed exam. There's just not a lot of time to try to learn this stuff or pull it out of whatever. Use your reference cards. Your reference cards are really good. If any of this stuff is confusing, then write it down in your notes and bring your notes into the exam. Oh, I really struggle with an input statement that returns an integer. Then write this statement down and have it in your notes. And that way you can go right to it when it's on the exam. I hope this was helpful. I will see y'all in class soon, and I'll try to get something else published with a couple more review questions.